Welcome to Popberry Stories. Far, far away, there was a beautiful kingdom with tall castles and mountains all around. Can you see the birds flying high above? This is the prince. He was kind and handsome, and he always wondered what adventures the day would bring. The prince traveled across many lands, riding horses, sailing boats, and exploring forests, hoping to meet a real princess. But the princesses he met were not quite right. One was too proud, one kept giggling, and another was very rude. Oh, what a funny adventure! After all his travels, the prince felt a little sad. No matter where he went, he couldn't find the princess he was looking for. Finally, the prince returned to his castle. The guards welcomed him, but he still felt tired and a little disappointed. He walked slowly through the gardens, thinking about all the princesses he had met. Where could a real princess be, he wondered. The prince looked very thoughtful. He wished he could find a princess who was truly special. Finally, he sat down on a bench and thought long and hard. Maybe tomorrow will be the day I meet her, he whispered to himself. One evening, dark clouds moved across the sky. Thunder rolled and lightning flashed. Rain began to fall harder, and the wind blew through the kingdom, shaking the trees and banners. Everyone hurried inside. Villagers closed doors and windows. Children were held by their parents. Everyone tried to stay safe from the storm. The storm reached the palace. Rain splashed against the castle walls. The guards on the towers looked out carefully. Lightning lit up the courtyard, and thunder boomed loudly. Suddenly, there was a loud knock at the city gate. The guards were surprised. Who could be outside in this rain, they wondered. One guard stepped forward. He held a lantern high and shouted, "Who is there?" Rain dripped from his helmet and armor. The wind tugged at his cloak, but he stood firm, waiting. A soft voice answered, "I am a princess." The guards looked carefully. There she was, wet from head to toe. Her gown was muddy and her hair was messy. The guards looked at each other. Could this really be a princess in the storm? She shivered a little but stayed at the gate. The guards ran to the king and told him what happened. The king listened. He was kind and gentle, with white hair and a beard. He nodded. "Open the gates," the king said. The heavy doors slowly swung open. The princess stepped inside carefully. Her gown was wet and muddy, and her hair dripped from the rain. The prince watched from the hall. Who was this princess who came in the storm? The guards helped her inside. The storm raged outside, but the palace was calm. The palace gates opened. Rain poured down. A princess stood outside. Her dress and hair were wet. She held her head up. The princess said softly, "I am a real princess." She looked tired but polite. The prince watched her. She was polite and kind. He wondered who she really was. Even through her wet clothes, he thought she looked very beautiful. The queen watched quietly. She was wise and kind. She wanted to see if the princess was really a princess. The guards walked with the princess. They helped her over wet floors. She stayed careful and polite. The maids whispered to each other. They were surprised by her wet dress. They noticed she was polite and kind. The princess walked into the courtyard. She stepped carefully over puddles. The guards stayed close to help her. Her hair stuck to her face. Her dress was wet. But she smiled gently. She stayed calm and polite. The prince moved a little closer. He wanted to see her better. She stayed steady and friendly. The guards led her to a warm room. The maids whispered quietly. The princess stayed kind and strong, even after walking through the rain. The queen thought carefully. She wanted to find out if the princess was truly a real princess. She came up with a clever idea and smiled to herself. The maids cleaned a quiet room. They moved the bed and prepared everything carefully. The room was empty and ready for the queen's special test. The queen put a tiny green pea at the very bottom of the bed. It was very small, but she knew it could show who was truly a princess. The maids watched quietly. The maids stacked 20 soft mattresses on top of the pea. Each mattress was thick and fluffy. The pile grew taller and taller, right on the bed. Next, the maids added 20 soft eiderdown beds on top of the mattresses. The stack became very tall and very soft, all neatly arranged layer by layer on the bed. The queen led the princess to the tall stack of mattresses and beds. The princess looked tired from the storm but curious. She thanked the maids and nodded politely, ready for the test. The princess climbed carefully to the top of the tall stack of mattresses and eiderdown beds. She used her hands and feet to balance. The queen watched quietly, and the maids stood a little distance away. She lay down carefully on the very top of the stack. It was soft and fluffy, but soon she felt something strange under the many layers. She frowned slightly, curious and confused. The princess shifted slightly and lifted her head. Something tiny pressed against her back, and it felt uncomfortable. She didn't know what it was but stayed lying on top of all the mattresses, trying to understand. The queen watched quietly from nearby, her expression calm and thoughtful. The maid stood a little distance away. The princess stayed still, lying on top of the many mattresses, feeling the hidden pea and wondering what it could be. The room was warm and quiet as the queen's clever test continued. The princess lay down on the mattresses. She closed her eyes and hoped she could finally get some rest after the long stormy night. After a few moments, she opened her eyes slightly. Something felt unusual beneath her back. She shifted a little, wondering why the bed didn't feel completely soft. She carefully rolled onto her left side, trying to get comfortable. But the strange feeling didn't go away. She frowned a little, pressing lightly on the mattress to see what it was. Next, she rolled to her right side. The bump was still there. She let out a small sigh but stayed quiet, hoping she could still fall asleep. She sat up slowly, rubbing her eyes. Her back ached a little, and she felt very tired. Why does this bed feel so strange? She wondered as she looked around the cozy bedroom. The wind rattled the palace windows, and rain splashed against the glass. Thunder rolled far away. The princess hugged her knees and glanced toward the window, feeling even more restless. She lay back down carefully on top of the tall mattress stack. She shifted again and again, trying different positions. But no matter what she did, the strange feeling under her back stayed the same. She gently pressed her hand on the mattress. Something small and hard pressed back. Her eyebrows lifted in surprise. "What is this?" she whispered quietly, still lying on top of the many mattresses. Hours passed. The princess yawned and blinked slowly. She turned her head and pressed her hand to her forehead, feeling exhausted. Her back ached from tossing and turning all night. When morning came, the princess slowly sat up on top of the tall mattresses. Her eyes were heavy, her back sore. She had barely slept at all. That tiny pea hidden under all the mattresses had kept her awake the entire night. The next morning, everyone gathered at the breakfast table. The princess, tired from the sleepless night, sat quietly in her slightly wrinkled gown. The prince looked at her with a big happy smile, and the queen watched carefully, curious to see what the princess would say. The queen asked gently, "How did you sleep, my dear?" "Oh, very badly," said the princess. "I scarcely closed my eyes all night. My back is sore, all over. I don't know what was in the bed, but it felt very strange." The queen listened closely, her eyes twinkling. She didn't say a word. The princess continued, "It was so uncomfortable. I tried turning and shifting, but something hard was under me. It was the strangest feeling I've ever had." The queen smiled softly and thought, "Indeed, she is a real princess. Only a true princess could feel a tiny pea under so many mattresses and beds." The prince couldn't hide his happiness. At last, he had found the real princess he had been searching for. The princess looked relieved. The prince was joyful. The queen remained calm, watching them both with a gentle, knowing smile. It was a happy morning at the palace. The prince said, "I'm so glad you are here," he said, smiling warmly. The princess felt comforted and happy. The queen watched them both and smiled secretly to herself. She knew the princess was truly a real princess, and the prince had finally found someone special. The palace was decorated with flowers and ribbons everywhere. Tables were filled with yummy food, and everyone was busy preparing for the wedding. Children ran and twirled with ribbons and flowers, practicing their dances for the celebration. The princess and prince watched and smiled. In the kitchen, the cooks made cakes and treats. One spilled icing on the floor, and everyone laughed at the little mess. The palace pets ran and chased each other around the halls, tumbling and playing. Their playful antics made everyone giggle. The prince and princess practiced small dances together. They held hands, laughed, and shared happy, playful moments before the big day. Finally, the big day arrived. The princess and prince walked together toward the altar. Villagers cheered, and flower petals floated in the air. The princess looked beautiful in her sparkling gown and tiny tiara. She walked carefully, a little nervous but very happy. The prince smiled proudly as he walked beside her, looking happy. He held himself tall and confident, excited for the wedding. Everyone clapped and cheered. Children waved little flags, and adults smiled as they watched the couple walk. The palace was decorated with flowers, ribbons, and banners. Tables were stacked with delicious food, and the air smelled sweet and festive. At the altar, the prince and princess held hands. The queen and king watched proudly, and the villagers waited quietly, excited for the vows. The prince almost dropped the ring, and everyone giggled. The princess smiled, happy and a little nervous, as they exchanged their vows. The guests and villagers clapped and cheered. Everyone's faces were full of joy. Finally, the couple walked out together, holding hands. And the villagers cheered loudly. The kingdom celebrated for hours. People danced, ate delicious food, and laughed. Everyone was happy, celebrating the prince and princess at last. The prince and princess began their new life ruling the kingdom with warmth, kindness, and joy. Everywhere they went, people smiled, for their rulers always listened, cared, and helped. In the palace museum, the tiny pea that started it all was placed inside a special glass case, becoming a favorite for visitors young and old. As time passed, the kingdom blossomed with peace and happiness. The prince and princess often stood together on the castle balcony, watching their joyful people and knowing that their love had brought harmony to the land.